Hello, and welcome back to Legacy of Leaders, where we interview the brightest and most interesting leaders in the community, and today is no different. I'm your host, Whitney Mincey, joined by a very special guest, Mr. Doug Plowman from Elevate Professional Services. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that have not heard about your company, tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
So we're a consulting company, and it was founded a few months back in March, so relatively new. But I've spent most of my career working for Fortune 500 companies in and around tech and operations. And the primary goal of my company is to match different types of small businesses with technology solutions that can help propel them forward. So in my experience, there's been quite a disconnect between people in the business that are working in operations, and then also people could be in IT or could be outside software vendors that provide technical solutions, and getting the requirements right. So you may purchase some type of technology or software and get about 50% of what it is that you're looking for. And a lot of that is just due to lack of clear communication between the two parties. It's difficult for people in operations that don't understand tech to explain in technical terms. And it's difficult for people who are on the technical side that don't necessarily understand operations to get everything the way that they would envision it, right? So that's really the sweet spot that I've fallen into, not only in corporations that I've worked for. So I've seen multi-billion-dollar corporations that have a really hard time with this, all the way down to startups. So it's a problem that it seems like everybody, has a little bit of trouble with. And that's something that I'm helping small businesses, medium-sized businesses solve.
Yeah, so I mean, that makes perfect sense. The two sides typically don't talk to each other, right? And operations need something to happen, but they don't know how to communicate it. So it makes perfect sense. So as far as the actual services that you can go in and provide for an organization, tell us about those. Yeah,
sure. So what I'll do is I'll come in and speak with an organization, kind of try and understand what some of their pain points are. Likewise, where the opportunities may be within the organization. Oftentimes they know, kind of where the pain points are and what they need help with. It may be that oftentimes what I'll see is they just don't have the time to go out and source different types of solutions. So it takes a lot of time, especially if you're not familiar with what it is that you're looking for, to find the right vendor that can meet your needs. Oftentimes, let's say you're talking about CRM. Salesforce is an unbelievable CRM, but it tends to be geared more towards an enterprise. So if you're a small business, you may not be able to pay, that high ticket fee for something like Salesforce. You may need something that's a little bit smaller, more lightweight, more cost effective for you that meets your needs. So it's not always that the best solution out there or the best practice is going to work for every business. So my goal is to come in and really understand the operations at a more intimate level, and then work to find the best solution that meets that unique need. And I think what differentiates me from a lot of the big consulting companies, your Deloittes, your KPMGs, is that you really get this cookie cutter, industry specific approach that they, kind of go through with everybody. Whereas with me, I'm really working to more intimately understand your business and your challenges, taking into account things like your budget and stuff like that. So with that, you get something that's a lot more custom and tailored to what it is that you're looking to implement, as opposed to just this very blanket cookie cutter approach that may work for the leaders in your industry, but it may not work for you.
So you come in, you identify the problem, you find a solution for them. Do you stay on to help the team learn how to implement or provide any training for leadership?
Absolutely. It's full cycle, and I think that's another differentiator as well, is not only am I going to help identify the solution for clients, but then I'm also going to be your partner through implementation as well, acting not only as sort of an implementation consultant who's helping facilitate the process, again, with requirements and making sure that things go as planned, but then also from a project management perspective. You'll see, I have a client right now where there's a project manager that's on the CRM side that's involved in the implementation, but we needed to bring in a third-party company that was managing a different piece of their tech stack that was going to integrate with what we were doing. And the project manager on the CRM side, that's not
That's not my job.
That's not my job. I wasn't brought on to do that. But it was something that needed to be fit in, and the timelines needed to be overlaid, and there were dependencies there, and somebody needed to manage that. So had I not been a part of that, the entire project may have fallen through at that point. You know? So, and I can see that as I'm a part of engagements, there's questions that I'm able to pick up on just based on my experience, that if those weren't asked, those are things that would need to be torn up later on, and just things that needed to be hashed out before decisions were made. So you'd be really surprised at how big of a disconnect there is sometimes between people who want the solution and want it in a certain way and the people who actually design it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times software vendors, you know, for better or for worse, they're looking to meet the statement of work and nothing further than that, you know. They may be smooth talkers, they may sell you, you know, initially on the fact that they're going to hold your hand the entire way. But if you don't know what true hand holding looks like, then you have no idea. You have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what you don't know. So.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I know that there are some business owners watching and thinking that they may be able to utilize your services. So if you want to learn more about Doug and his organization, make sure you head over to dailynewsnetwork.com. All of his information will be listed there. And we will see you next time on Legacy of Leaders.